Hey guys, it's Parker here, back with part 8. Yes, 8 of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So we're continuing the witness testimony. Actually, we're starting the witness testimony for this case, so let's go. What the witnesses saw. It was the last bus of evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. I'm so cold. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out the blue, the accused just reached over and punched a knife right into his guts. That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. I couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus and then I saw it too. I'm back with the testimony, I must say. Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question if I may. Yes, counsel. Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As has been clearly stated for the outset, yes. Well, in that case, how could these two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. How quaint. I read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations is a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses? Huh? Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you even traveled in an omnibus? Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is. What do you mean, the actual scene? How? A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much. Yes. The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today in this very building. Here? What? The entire carriage? Bailiff. Bring forth this stricken omnibus. So that's an omnibus. Duh, omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside in the enclosed cabin and another 4 on the roof deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there's a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above. Ah, skylight. Oh! The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim accident. Through the skylight. Ugh, that makes perfect sense. Well, counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish. Wig snatched! Very well, I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence. Okay. I can't believe it, the entire crime scene entered as evidence? Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving an omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Okay, actually, why don't we look at... Oh wait, not this one. Why don't we look at the court record for now? Okay, I'm just gonna examine everything. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying in an omnibus. Died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. Okay. Okay. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come up grumbling now. No, by the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. Pity if only you'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. Well, I guess that's it for the gloves. Why don't we examine this? Whoa. I've actually never examined a carriage, so this is actually bizarre. This is cool. Imagine making the 3D model for this. Phoenix Wright Omnibus! Okay, why don't we examine this? So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, and you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. So many people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them, and they have to pay money to do so? Brr! I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as punishment? Perhaps that's the real price you pay to stay out late. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Ugh, the scene of a murder is horrible. Okay, let's check this out. Huh, okay, there's blood over here. That's blood that's soaked to the seat, the victim's obviously. Yes, and the seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab somebody and feel view with the other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark, and there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. Ah, just a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole expedition. Oh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London will see fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the group deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or catch of any description, so I suppose it can't be open from inside the cabin at least. Interesting. The sea looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it, and only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really. Of course, an English gentleman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here. A woman in kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? Yep. They sure are, isn't it? Have you seen enough? But step back outside then. Okay, I think we have examined enough. So let's go back to the witness testimony. Pray, don't expect to sneak putty stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. Alright, my first cross-examination in British court. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir, yes. Even so cold it was, sir, freezing, in fact. And you have 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not at all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course, though, no. And there were no other passengers or no other incident took place, no one alighted, for example. You're quite right, sir. No other passengers like that, no, none. Okay. I have to say, the boss insists on the running he does every evening, that last bus of the day. But I do wonder if sometimes it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, what would it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see? Yes, I used to spend that much in a pub on the way home just to try to warm up again. Poor guy. The victim and the man. Okay, let's press this guy. And you saw them through the sky in the roof of the carriage? That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. There was a lamp on inside, so I had a pretty good view. The two of them were wearing hats. I couldn't exactly make out their faces, but there's not a shred of doubt in my eye that was Mr. McGill did. But the gloves are different from that, isn't it? How can you be so sure? Well, how can I put it politely? Mr. McGill is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to the hall, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGill. There is no room for doubt here. Ugh, I really wish there was.
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Didn't I already testify to that? Or are fair, dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I really got his back up. Perhaps he could... My lord! Juror number 3 was the meaning of this. My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be, every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. There's no doubt of wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. That's precisely what I was about to say. As a foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to fair jurors. What is happening here? Let me see. Ah yes, it seems that's how the members of the jury get their verdicts. With fire? Apparently yes, white for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice as we saw a moment ago. So this enormous scales fall completely to the black side. Does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Ugh, now I'm even more worried than I was before. Very well, the court acknowledges change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with cross-examination. Oh, this is a nightmare.
Hold it!
He stabbed him, you say. You're sitting on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out of his belly, that huge great knife. A grim sight indeed. That didn't help me at all. The jury looked like they were even more convinced my client did than they were before. That appears to have made everyone more dubious that McGill is telling the truth. If only he has some evidence to counter their suspicions. Mr. First. Oh, yes, sir. Is this the knife you saw? Oh, good grief, yes, that's it. The very one, sir. Is that? Yes, counsel. Whoops. Skip that. It's the blade that was driving to the victim's belly like a stake through the heart. Is this blade of considerable size, counsel? It is. And furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar. Ugh, please no. M for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. Wait, what if it's upside down? What if it's a W? It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake. But there are M's everywhere. Like, yes. Like in Mason. This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel. Okay. My lord, if you forgive the interruption, let's look at the court record. That part is cheese, isn't it? Are you alright, Miss Naruhodo? Oh, sorry, yes, I just don't really like blades. Oh, those will seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. That's not a blade. That's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying. Let's see what the blade looks like. Oh boy. That looks a lot like blood. It surely is blood, the victim's. An Englishman's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood. Did you think it wouldn't? Sorry, it's just that we only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand. But it looks like a W from here. Not really an M if you flip it upside down. An ornate letter M, undeniably Mr. Magnus McGilda's initial. And it's beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable, I should think. Ah, what is it? Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, because W just changes everything. A W? Yes, this is one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it. I'm afraid I don't know at all, but what I am sure is that this is an M. Oh, well, that idea is quickly squashed. What if it's a W? Okay, I think we checked this all out. Mr. McGill is the pillar of society and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However... Okay. Dispose of the rubbish! I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I'm now in position to draw the only logical conclusion. Not again. That's 4 out of 6 jury members proposed the guilty verdict. There are only 2 left. We've had it every time I press these witnesses for more information, just making the situation worse. But we're getting more information, we're getting more evidence. Don't give up, Naruhodo. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at this moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I just have to keep pressing witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly. You mustn't give up hope that will uncover something that'll give us a way to fight back. But... alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again.
Hold it!
What exactly did you see? Oh, well, so that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was. And by the passenger, obviously you're referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. And then the other passenger had the knife in his hand like this. By the other passenger, obviously referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded. And then he punched it down like this, stabbing the other passenger to the belly. What? My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5, do I take it that you two... Yeah. The idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse is bolted, as they say. No, please, give up now. Silver Blaze, the finish is in sight. Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. Too kind, sir. Just too unkind, sir. Which now means that 5 jurors agreed to condemn this man. Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear. What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to announce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park and around this time of day, sit on a nice bench and get on my knitting. There's a lovely little park just where I live. McGilded Park is called. The gentleman donated to the city, you know, to put a smile on London's faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He has always done wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that would have stopped them, surely.
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is?
What kind of a man is he?
The philanthropist, Magnus McGilded, has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all the wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls. What?
Stone the crows!
McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is the vulture that preys on the weak.
I never heard any mention of that before.
Your facilities haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madame. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service?
You're not saying that...
The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as to no surprise that his creditor was the accused Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious!
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded. You know, this freaking soundtrack is pretty good, so I think I'll raise the game audio a little bit.
I don't believe it. If I might add something briefly, Miss Susato.
You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded, but where's the evidence to support your claim? Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice in a court of law.
Aha, there it is! Sword Van Zieks hollow chalice!
How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in an unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies in their 40s could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
As judicial assistant to defense, I'm simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh.
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
A marvelous toast, counsel. I'm glad you accept this new evidence.
Okay.
Ah yes, 20 guineas. The victim owned a considerable sum.
20 guineas, huh?
Okay, let's look at the court record. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry. Oh dear, do you really think we outlook inside? Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friends, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you, and I'll find Mr. Schoen's name inside. Well, let's see what we find.
gosh. Golly gee gosh. It's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Ah, goodness. What is it? Look at this. Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strange and familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying this very moment. Oh yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, didn't he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that it's just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information. Okay. So he would have a reason to, like, have McGilded, oh, he's guilty, because he, like, needs to repay debts too. But, like, is that all? Okay, I guess that's all. And the accused made quite certain an ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regretfully, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel. Still, maybe it's all for the best.
Wait a minute!
I don't stand for nonsense.
That was it, the last juror's decision. According to the Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. The final verdict is over then. Oh! There's a footnote though. A footnote? However, the defense...
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case.
Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of the country, I'll conclude the trial. By delivering a final verdict, I trust there are no objections.
Mrs. Sato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes? You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law, Harvard the defense. What did it say next? Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, okay, has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. Okay, just do that then. A summation examination?
Objection.
A summation examination? From which century has the tome you have there been resurrected? Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Whoops. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck. Oh. What even is it, Mrs. Sato? This so-called summation examination. Oh, one moment, I'll read about it. You would demand the right to procedure before you even understand what it entails. Typical Nipponese. Alright, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we'll be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions, and it says here that if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions?
Yes, in times go by, barristers use the summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But the procedure begins something of formality with no practical benefit really, so rather fell out of use.
Well, we could use that. We could revive it. I wonder why. Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? That we're gonna do it!
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yeah, let's do it. We don't have anything else to do.
A summation examination. For our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out?
Yeah, let's do it. The defense
wishes to assert its right to summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial. The defense petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination.
This is madness.
Barman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Well, I'm not, there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision.
On what grounds?
You must all justify your decision and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty.
Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on a spot. This is the most irregular. No mention was made of this before. I don't really hold all this justifying lark. That seems to have thrown the jurors off.
It seems none of them experienced this before.
Alright then, the summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing law is intended for ears, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around.
So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilda, guilty of this most serious crime.
Alright, guess we're doing this. Judicial findings. The music though, let's listen to this. Whoa, that music was great.
I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds.
I have to throw everything I can at them. Use some very persuasive language.
Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not how it works.
Oh?
I thought I was going to have to dot their icy minds as harrowing rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says.
But then...
what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments.
What do you mean?
Well, the 6 members of the jury randomly select the members of the public. They may appear to present a unit in front, but the truth is, they're complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in this courtroom together.
And that's the way to break them down, you mean?
Yes, exactly. You must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if you can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, we then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other.
Oh, okay. Let's find a contrast in each statement then. Find contradictions and pit the jurors together. I have to pull this off. Can we listen to the freaking jurors theme again? That was so freaking nice. What? Jury examination. The defense is rebuttal. So the maid, she said it was freaking how much? 20 guineas, right? The fare is totaling 20 pence. Pence? Pence. But there was only 4 passengers in the carriage, so 4 times 4 is 16. And she but yeah, 4 times 4 is 16, right? But yeah, he said it was like 4 pence for each person, so 4 times 4 is 16, but this gal was like, oh, it was 20. Okay, I'm gonna pit this statement against this guy.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. They do? Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? I saw on Silver Blaze's main and name. I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimony heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question, and according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right, I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 has also told us the following. The fare for an omnibus is always 4 pence. That it is, a fair and convenient single price, just the way London's carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication, it would be 16 pence. Exactly, as I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely, 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night. It's simply impossible. There was another passenger we heard nothing about. Good gracious! This can't be right. The coachman of the guild are good honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures the coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchman, read your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news would surely spread all over London. The news that one of our coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end, Just say not guilty. Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball fire into an innocent side of the set of scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman. We are all in agreement. Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. Arg, this is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same. Okay. For the love of Mike, who's Mike? Not you as well? A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that I hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Miss Naruhodo, you did it! If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. Whoops. There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. Then that's where we must strike next. So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show just in their contradiction in their assertions. Exactly, you can do it. Thanks, Susato. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, so bad they still weigh heavily on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with the summation examination. Okay. Okay, the old lady was like stabbing at the floor, and then this guy was just like next to him, like this. So I'll pit this guy against the old lady. Okay, let's go, I guess. Those two statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel, post haste. Oh, dearie me, I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when this defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can't you see I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Ha! Want to test me, do you? It was like this. Stuck the fellow next to me without even getting up, just like the print banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Prayer-based testimony, quite true. Now then, juror number 6. Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madame? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it. It was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he coughs on the floor. The coachman said so. No, now, don't move. Take a look at those 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to me without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he coughs on the floor. Well, I never dare. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What? Bless my stitches, what a muddle. What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh, but why? Why did Dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. The scales. I don't believe it. Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. Nope, I'm using logic. We're using logic here. Answer me this, dark jinx. Oh, me? What exactly is the problem? What if the 2 witnesses cite different recollections of scenes? What of it? It's because one of them is lying. I say the Sherlock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus. As his young daddy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim coughs on the floor, and then the Sherlock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, Nope, there was only one wound. There was only one stab wound according to the autopsy. Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why I should take this knife to you? Who are you calling old? Why I should take this needle to you? They're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the 2 witnesses see 2 different moments of the same crime? It's out of the question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, Dark Jinx? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What are you talking about, man? How could you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As far as the jury, my responsibility is to steer everyone in the right direction. Well, this is not the right direction, dude. So where's the evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime. If you say that's not the question, show me some proof. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince is present him with evidence. Alright, let's go. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime, as proven by a single stab wound.
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen only once. Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely 1 time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. Alright, I concede defeat.
Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won. What are you playing at, you daddy fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I don't lie when I see one. And if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head, okay, weirdo? Please tell me he's a barber. Wow, it's a quite remarkable turn of events. The defense's summation examination swayed the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there's no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate. The trial must continue. Adjudicate? Adjudicate? I don't know. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return their places. And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. So, Lord Van Zieks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please.
Having savored the rich aroma of the carbon contents of this hollowed-faced chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forget this discourtesy. Lord Van Zieks! Brr, is it cold in here, or is it just me? As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honor the deadly science and listen to trade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom in our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Bring forth the witnesses once more. Why is he so cool? He's so cool. Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Oh, yes, sir, that I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh, yes, sir, I heard it. You, sir, on the end, the coachman, I believe it's Beppo. Yes, sir, my lord, sir. If it transpires that in your previous testimony, you are attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on an omnibus, you'll be found guilty of perjury. You're advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh mio Dio, Now the witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. Okay.
But, what do you mean, but?
You had to pay 5 pence?
What do you mean you think so? The phantom 5th passenger conjured into existence by my learned Easter friend never existed. The confusion has arisen for the coachman's sly little cosenage.
Beppo, explain yourself. I'm terribly sorry, guildmaster. The guild fares is 4 pence across the board, you know that. Am I to understand they be overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare? It's so cold and the last run of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. I'm sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo, a disgrace! And your selfish actions have brought dishonor in the entire guild.
If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. Why did you pay for it? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures. Well, it appeared that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, Constable of Defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination already today. I see you tend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely.
Hold it!
So, there were only 4 passengers and you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? I'm getting chill blains just listening to you. It was terrible, so I just want to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Doesn't a dedicated culture that deserves an extra petty passenger?
Hold it!
Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you that I did. A flat fare of 5 pence across the board. It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the pattern killer he so desperately needed, is gone, dead, and buried. I'd have been happy if it had never existed in the first place.
Hold it!
I mean, didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. He didn't even see it. So he just said that he did it. But Mr. Frost didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, you see? That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw the horrible babe poking out for his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating.
Hold it! Hold it!
He said the victim was on the floor, described the same holding the knife and the ice pick grip. I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse maybe. What's this? Well, I'm quite sure but most of it. I was just driving the horse when I heard a scream from front of the seats on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. That was when I did turn around. Yes, I saw it through the skylight. The general was on the floor and the knife was sticking out of his midriff. That's right, yes, and the fellow was holding the handle that was the famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all? I really thought I did, but when I go over my head... No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of stabbing, did I? What is going on with you over here? Excuse me, sir. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him and answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through the sky on the top of the omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, how do you know? And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene. I don't mind telling you. Okay, why don't you tell us then? Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me, it's getting a little hot under collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony to a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I could do that alright. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed the man?
Hold it!
Ahem, well, perhaps soaked is laying out a little thick, but anyway, there's definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it? What do you mean both of them were covered in it? Both of them isn't covered in it. He saw it from the roof to the skylight. Well, the sky is reasonably large, so I had a pretty good view. And just lamp on the side of the carriage as well, so I'm quite sure what I saw. But both gloves wasn't bloody, only one of them was bloody. Let's present the evidence here. Let's go. Gloves. Blood-soaked hands. Well, I meant the soak might be a little... Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilden, on the night in question. Oh yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be sizable dark colored stain there, but as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right hand glove. Arg! In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. Gag! But no, that can't be right. So you're the lie here then. Garg! That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said it was both hands. Grr! Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it was in both hands. It was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw bloods all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness is deliberately trying to mislead the court. Guard! Why, I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Nope, I don't think so. He has every reason to lie. I have evidence. My lord. Yes, counsel. The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had the reason to lie in his testimony. Guard! Very well. I hereby call the defense to present its evidence. Alright.
Take that!
This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilden. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. What? Mr. Fairplay is surely in debt financially to the accused? No, well, it's very worth being called debt. According to the subject, owned 20 guineas, not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Well, what of it?
But suppose Mr. McGill were to be found guilty of murder, what will become your debt in this case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? That's why I had every very reason to lie. Order! Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again. Are you aware that your answer may have some most serious implications upon your future, sir? Grr. Did you, or did you not, see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood in Mr. McGilda's hands, both of them.
Objection.
And yet, only one of the defense goals, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Girl, so he keeps saying. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? It appeared that we were going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I'd like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yargs. Listen, Naruhodo, it's good news. The conversation trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. Okay. Not one of you was when this is a crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there's no one else inside the carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what the testimony is about. Let's examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating to the witnesses' accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of this case. Okay, guys, I think that'll be it for part 8 of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Thank you so much for watching. This case is actually pretty fun so far, so yeah, we're gonna continue in part 9. Alright, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye!